everybody. I'm Jennifer Torres, CMS Wire reporter, and I'm here with Dr. Ron Friedman, a social psychologist specializing in human motivation and the founder of Ignite 80, a research and development company. Today, we're talking about Front's new report called The Science Behind Strong Customer Relationships that looks at whether customers actually prefer human interactions. Hi, Dr. Friedman, and thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. Friedman, I understand from the report your thought on chatbots, but today voice AI has become a very popular notion, and I wonder what your thoughts are on the way voice AI integrates human characteristics into the phone call, and whether that might enable people to feel like their needs are met, such as you say with a human customer service rep.
Yeah, it's a little bit early to predict because number one, we haven't really seen these rolled out quite as often as chatbots. And what we do know about chatbots suggests that these these AI-driven voice interactions may actually backfire. And the reason for that is because most chatbots experiences tend to backfire, and it's because most chatbots are not effective interactions. They tend to waste people's time. Customers tend to perceive them as difficult to get their problem solved. And consequently, they're bringing those expectations into future chatbot interactions. So that means if you're a business owner or you're a marketing department and you're building the perfect chatbot, it doesn't matter because most businesses aren't, people are having bad experiences, and then they're bringing those expectations to interacting with your chatbot. And so the bottom line is, to most customers, if you're relying on chatbots or voice-driven AI, what that communicates to customers is that relationships are just not a priority.
Okay, thank you. And the report talks a little bit about the differences between older consumers and younger consumers. They have different needs. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one of the things that the research tells us is that humans have three basic psychological needs, and those three psychological needs tend to affect their performance and their experiences in all kinds of domains. So we know, for example, that when people have these psychological needs met in the workplace, people tend to be healthier, happier, and more productive. When they have these needs met in their personal relationships, they tend to thrive. And so it stands to reason that these three psychological needs also extend to people's experiences with customer service agents. And in fact, that one of the interesting findings in this research is that the experience of these psychological needs tends to impact their experiences and reflection of whether or not they had a satisfying interaction with the customer service agent. And so let me explain what the three psychological needs are. The three psychological needs are, number one, the need for mastery, which encompasses whether or not people feel like they're growing and learning new things. The second is the need for relatedness, so whether or not people feel like they're valued or respected and appreciated by others. And finally, the third need is the need for autonomy, or the experience of choice. And what we found in the research is that when customer service agents, for example, help people learn new things, they don't just solve their problem for them, but they show them how to prevent having that same problem in the future. That's appreciated. People actually prefer that than just having their problem solved. So that fuels their need for mastery. When it comes to relatedness, people actually enjoy being called by their first name on the whole. And in looking at how customers evaluate good customer service experiences versus bad, what we find that in 70% of the cases of good relationships, they feel like the customer service agent knows them personally. In contrast, in the vast majority of poor customer service experiences, only 33% felt like the customer service agent knew them personally. And so what that tells us is that being acknowledged for who we are tends to influence the extent to which people feel like they had a good customer service experience. And finally, when it comes down to autonomy, what we found is that 58% of customers actually prefer being given a choice when it comes to how their problem is solved, as opposed to just having the problem solved as quickly as possible. And so what the research illustrates is that when you think about providing customer service through the lens of psychological needs, you actually are positioned to deliver a better, more memorable customer service experience for the people you serve.
Oh, very good. And finally, how should contact centers respond, call centers, with the great resignation and a lot of them having a hard time finding people to fill positions? How should they respond to this report?
Well, one of the things this tells us is that chatbots are probably not the solution. A better solution is having that human touch, and that can take the form of email or it could take the form of phone calls. But people have a radar for whether or not they're dealing with a computer, and they tend to not respond well to feeling like they're being handed off to an inhuman interaction. And so, one of the things I would say is obviously, if you're not able to have somebody answer the phone immediately or respond to emails immediately, one critical factor to consider is setting expectations and simply having something in your intake form online that says we pride ourselves on giving a response within 2 hours. That can go a long way because it doesn't require you to respond immediately, and yet it alleviates some of the anxiety that people might feel around whether or not their email was even received or when they're going to receive a response. It's that often it's the time between submitting a request and receiving a response that defines whether or not people feel like they're being respected. And so setting expectations is key. Another thing to consider is, again, email is fine. There's nothing wrong with email. People responded quite well to dealing with customer service agents over email. And that allows you for scale because you can utilize templates. Again, you can also offer people the option of receiving a call back, which honors their preference and gives them choice. That's useful. The third thing I would say is that consider paying the folks who are answering the phone or responding to emails a little bit more, because what we found in the survey is that in over 2/3 of cases, customers prefer excellent customer service over excellent pricing. And so paying a little bit more above the going rate is actually a viable business strategy, even if it means charging more, because as we see in our research, customers prefer paying extra if they can have their problem solved faster.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much for joining CMS Wire, and thank you for sharing all your insights.
My pleasure.